Okay, I want to show you how you can take a Unity application and build it for the web and integrate it with a React app. I'll also show you how to host it online and allow people to be able to access it and probably use your application. So, without wasting any further time, let's dive in. As you can see, my Unity application is opened up. It's just a very simple app. Not much is happening here. My next game. So it's just something that fires up simple bullets and straightforward. Not much is happening. So we're going to take this application and we're going to host it on a website. So we're going to have to change the platform we're building for. So right now it's currently configured for Windows and Mac. So I'm going to switch this to WebGL. Okay, now that has been configured, we are going to have to make a few changes. I would like to change this for this size, but depending on what you're working with, you will have to actually, if you need the application to run faster, probably if you're targeting more mobile devices uh and you don't think your application runs that fast, but I'm targeting for file size, so I'm going to use this size. So we move to player settings. You configure your player settings. Right now I'm using default copy, so I'll use Morphine. uh you can name it anything you want to name it. Okay. So publishing settings, I would like to switch to broadly because it seems to have a lower file size, and I would like to have a decompression fallback. So I believe that should be it for the settings. Uh okay, I have to configure my scene. Okay, that has been configured. So we are going to build for WebGL. Ensure that while installing Unity, you have the WebGL SDK set up already. If this option is not visible, for example, I don't have this, so you can install with Unity Hub if this option isn't available for you. So I will build. I would like to build on my drive. I believe I'll just call this space riot WebGL build. Space riot WebGL build. So while this is working, we are going to have to set up our React app. I'm going to have to open this folder in the terminal. Okay, now we have it set up in the terminal. I would like to type in this command, nps create. So I'm using create react app for this. Create react app space riot website. I would like to use TypeScript to set this up. Okay, so after a while and WebGL build is done, I will have to cd into the directory. At this point, you could edit the application with any IDE of your choice, but personally, I would like to use Visual Studio Code to make my changes. I will open Visual Studio Code quickly, but you can use any IDE of your choice to move along. If we run npm start to be sure our application runs properly on the web. Our React application is properly set up. Next, we're going to use a package called React Unity WebGL. We're going to have to copy this. I'll leave the link to this. I'm going to stop website build, set up the Unity WebGL build. Okay, that's working fine. And now we have our React app. Everything's working fine. I'm going to have to clean this up. I'll create a new folder. I'll call it WebGL. Then I'll create an index.tsx and I will configure my React app. Okay, this has our website being blank right now. I'm going to have to use the documentation and copy everything here. Now we're having an error because it can't find our WebGL build because we have to link it to a path, the path to our WebGL build. So in public, we are going to have to create a new folder called build, and I'll call it inside the folder. I'll also call it WebGL. This is where we're going to copy all our files. As you can see, these are the files it requests for: the WSM, the framework, the data, and the loader. So inside a build file, we're going to copy all these into our WebGL. Okay, now that we've named them, we are going to have to check it out and see if it works. As you can see, our application is working. So now next, we're going to want to make it full screen. We're going to have to style our WebGL container. So I would like to create a CSS file. I would like to use CSS module. So index.module.css. I'll call this container. And we are going to assign that to Unity with class name using styles and container that we named from here. So this should give us full screen. Now we have our application running. As you can see, we might also want to have a loading screen. We could also implement that by adding loading progression. We are going to set up the loading. I would like to wrap this in a H1. I'll call it loading. Now we should see the loading. Well, the application is quite fast, so it should show the loading if you have a heavier application, but apparently this should work for you. And I believe that is it. So we're going to have to get ready to push it to the web. I would love to use render.com for this. A sign up is totally free. So I will have to go to my dashboard. I'm going to have to create a new static website. As you can see, it's requesting for a GitHub repo. I haven't pushed this project to GitHub, so I will have to set it up. I'll head over to my GitHub, create a new repository. I'll call it, let's call it this. I think I'll just add Node.js. Git no. I'll create the repository. Now that we have created the GitHub repo, ensure you have Git installed. You could download for Windows or for MacBook, depending on what you're running on. I'm running on a MacBook, so I'll have to install it for Mac, but I'm guessing you have that already set up. So since Git is already set up, I can now set up my project to upload it to Git. So I'll initialize Git. I will add the next command, git add. Okay. Now we have pushed the project to GitHub. We should see that is functioning. Okay. That has been properly set up. Now we are still going to have to create the static site, and now we can see it in our repository, and we connect. Everything should work fine, and we should deploy the static site. Now it says your site is live. You now have to actually open up the link to your website, and it works fine. It opens it up, and anybody with this URL can actually visit your WebGL game or application. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope this helps you out.